Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Wake Forest Summer Immersion Program's Fireside Chats. I am excited to be here with our academic leader for the Debate and Public Advocacy Institute, Justin Green. We are very, very, very lucky to have Justin serve as our academic leader for this institute, not only because he is a professor of communications, but he is also the head coach of the Wake Forest debate team. So thank you, Justin, for being here. Thanks for answering our questions so that we can learn more about the Debate and Public Advocacy Institute. So we can get things started. I would love for you to talk to us about who you are and what inspired you to lead the Debate and Public Advocacy Institute.
Well, first, thank you, Betsy, for the opportunity to chat here. I am a debate evangelist and love the opportunity to chat with students who are potentially interested in the summer. I've been involved in competitive debate since I was in the 7th grade. That was many years ago. But my profession, I thought was going to be a high school teacher. So I've got a couple of degrees in how to lead a classroom. But it turns out that I really liked college a whole lot better. And so I've been coaching collegiate debate for the past 25 years. And I've also been working in the classroom. So what I hope, and what I really love is that this is an opportunity in the summer to approach some academic material in a fun manner and to get everyone engaged. And I really love working with vibrant students who, quite frankly, like to talk or like to learn how to talk more effectively. But I would love, a big classroom full of students who love nothing more than to argue, even if they don't exactly know what they're arguing about.
Yes, that is a unique characteristic of you, Justin. So we are so thankful that you love and are passionate about working with students who love to argue. Another fun fact about Justin Green, he is a Wake alum. So he went to Wake, and correct me if I'm wrong, Justin, but you were on the Wake debate team as a student here at Wake, correct?
I was. I have watched Wake Forest grow over the years, but the one thing that has been steady is that the school was founded in 1834 and the debate team in 1835. We're the oldest extracurricular on campus. And what I like is we have a bunch of national championships. And so my ability to kind of work with students to impart some of those knowledge to people who aspire to be there in the future or at least be champions in their own field is a great opportunity. And I really look forward to it.
Yeah, and because Justin won't brag about himself and his team's accolades, Justin, I know that Wake Debate in recent years won, I think it's called the trifecta of debate competitions or
We
tournaments.
did win what's called the Triple Crown for the first time in debate history in 2022 or 2023, excuse me. And we also have 5 ACC championships in the past 10 years, as well as a number of seeded national championships. The expectation here is that we produce winners, but more importantly, in the summer, we just enjoy the process of debate.
Yes, so by no means is the Debate and Public Advocacy Institute for elite debaters. This institute is for sure an opportunity for students to test the waters of debate and kind of hone their skills in public advocacy. So let's dive into talking about the actual institute. What can students expect on a typical day in the Debate and Public Advocacy Institute?
Well, the first thing I want them to expect is that they're going to talk a lot. And so most of the time you would go into a classroom, you would be expected to sit in the back of the room, take some notes, maybe after about 30, 45 minutes of note taking, then you have an opportunity to do some sort of small project by yourself, and then everyone slowly reports back out. This is a situation where we're going to say, here's maybe 10, 15 minutes of things for you to think about. And then let's get to debating, let's get to talking. And part of the reason or part of the approach we take is how do we learn by doing? Not just by listening, not just by sitting, but you're going to have an opportunity to work with a number of different students, a number of different topics. You'll have an opportunity to pick some of the topics, but there's not a lot of sitting around and listening. So the big expectation I would say is, where there's a little bit of communication back and forth in the morning where maybe I would say, here's what we want to accomplish. Here's some tips. We do a debate. In the afternoon, you'd have a little bit of time to do some preparation. We do some more debates, offer some feedback, maybe engage in some other speaking activities. But it is an action-packed day where you're not really sitting and taking notes, unlike most of the classroom situations.
Yes, so we do not want this to feel like school. This is a get your hands dirty type of experience. But like we said, you don't have to be a part of your school's debate team. You just have to be willing to learn and enthusiastic about participating and voicing, the things that you come up with. Um, what are some, so you mentioned, some of the topics that students might debate or things like that. What would you say are some of the most exciting experiences or topics that the students might debate or things they have to look forward to?
So there are a couple of different ways we approach this, and different students find different ways more exciting. Almost everyone finds our showcase debates on Friday morning as their culminating favorite event. They've been doing a little bit of preparation. They've done some practice run-throughs. They've gotten to choose their topic. They've gotten to pick their side. So they're generally talking about something they're passionate about, they're well researched about, they're well practiced about. And we record those so that people can look at them after the fact and show those to family and friends if they want to. But it is generally the Friday morning is the place where students are like, that was really fun, and they really enjoy that experience. Throughout the week, we have a couple of guest speakers, from a judge to a rhetorician who specializes in legal communication to someone who specializes in social networking and social organizing and community organizing. And then we range the topics. Some of them are pop culture. Who is a better musician? Some of them are a little bit more environmental in nature. Should we recycle paper? What's the best way to address global warming? Some of them are a little bit more politically oriented in terms of international politics or domestic politics, but really do leave it open to students. Some folks like to argue about sports, who's the GOAT, who's the greatest of all time in various event, or basketball or football, and then others like to apply that same logic to music. So there's plenty of opportunity for students to work and practice the skill of argumentation and the skill of speaking, but do so in an area that they find interesting. We try to balance kind of research-based topics with more fun pop culture-based topics so that no one feels like all I'm doing is in the library all day. But we do want to make sure that people are speaking with some facts, so that it's not just people kind of making things up.
Hmm. Yeah, and you mentioned the final debate showcase at the end of the week. That is something that I have enjoyed throughout the years that we've hosted the Debate and Public Advocacy Institute. And the amount of growth that students make from Monday through Friday, short 4.5 days, is pretty profound. So all of that talking, all of that arguing, all of that researching, kind of coming up with your facts and your arguments, it really pays off for that final showcase debate on Friday. So it's been really cool to be able to see someone with very little experience on Monday really feeling confident and able to communicate well on Friday in front of a group of peers. So I love it.
And Betsy, what I try to do is, I work with students, and I've worked with students from age fifth grade all the way through retirement homes, which is where we have a debate happening this afternoon. And anyone in between. I also do a bunch of consulting work for Fortune 500 executives. And so I try to bring all of those elements to really help any student from where they're at to get to where they can be within that week span. It's not about are you the best debater in the room? It's about how you can become the best version of yourself.
Yeah, I think that's such a great point, Justin, too, because so many, I think, students look at the summer immersion program as, okay, I'm going to test out a major or I'm going to test out a career pathway. But I love this institute because honestly, whether you're interested in pursuing business or technology or sports marketing, the skills that students are able to hone and develop in the Debate and Public Advocacy Institute will serve you no matter where you end up. And I think that's a really nice opportunity for students to be able to take advantage of.
And there are a number of students who think maybe I want to do summer immersion for more than 1 week. And so debate is a great additive because it's teaching a skill you won't necessarily get anywhere else, but then you still get to interact with students who might not be in the same field you are. So it's a good way to meet people who are different than you, but then also use some skills no matter what you want to do later in life.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure those interpersonal skills are very much developed in this institute as well. Um, Well, that kind of leads to my next question. I mentioned that many of our other institutes are very pathway focused. So we do offer a policy and politics institute as well as a law institute. If a student is considering law, policy and politics, maybe leadership, and also debate and public advocacy, how can you kind of differentiate between someone interested in law or politics versus what they would get in the Debate and Public Advocacy Institute?
Well, the first thing I want to say is you can't go wrong. There are only good options before you. And so it's just a question of what's the best fit for what you're trying to get out of it. I know the people that run the other two institutes, and I have nothing but good things to say about them. I will say, having looked at their curriculum, they're very focused upon their subject area. So it is true, you would get a deep dive into politics and learn about how the world of politics operates, or you get a deep dive into law and figure out how law works. In debate and public advocacy, our goal is to really help you become a better public advocate. And we know that advocacy skills are one that are highly sought after by employers and the least focused on in the educational setting. I had a colleague many years ago tell me the difference between the engineer in the corner office and the engineer in the cubicle is the one in the corner office knows how to talk to people. And so if you can really hone those skills and learn how to sell whatever your idea is, you will be a better lawyer. You could be a better politician. You could be a better advocate. We'll cover some basic elements that I also teach in my pre-law classes, or my pre-law class here at Wake Forest. And I also will cover some elements that over the basics of politics as it relates to some of the topics. The good news is if you really are interested in politics, you could choose a topic for your final debate that is very political in nature. Or if you're very interested in legalism, we could have a topic about whether or not a particular court case should be overturned or kept. And so if those are things you're really interested in, but you're also interested in speaking, there are ways to work those in as well, so that students who really want to be in those subject areas can practice it. And in fact, we've had a number of students over the years go to both law and debate, or debate and public policy, as well. The leadership students find that we really focus a little bit more on speaking and skills and less on sort of interpersonal communication awareness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. That was a very, very good explanation. I agree with everything you said. So thank you for kind of walking us through that. We're going to kind of segue into the logistics of this institute, so students can kind of envision themselves here on campus and kind of envision what the day would look and feel like. So can you talk us through, where does the debate institute take place on campus? Where will students be?
So we are in a state-of-the-art classroom with very big windows for when our major kind of group instruction time happens. We have a number of classrooms as well that are very facilitated to allow students to speak, so that you don't have to sit and wait for your turn to speak. We do breakout sessions so that plenty of opportunities for everyone to speak as much as you can. We also move over to the law school and engage in a mock kind of courtroom situation as it relates to legal argumentation and legal reasoning. We will potentially take a walk through Nolde Gardens and move there. But it's a great opportunity. The last plug I'll put in is, and a lot of people don't know this, but our cafeteria is ranked at a top 5 in the country. And I've been to some, quite frankly, Vegas buffets that aren't as nice as the cafeteria that's offered here at Wake Forest. So just as a side note, and having a high school student myself who's been to the summer workshops, he says like one of his major draws is he can't wait to come back and eat the food, which I know might sound a little unusual, but I'm serious. It's very good.
Yes, and we lovingly call the Wake Forest cafeteria the pit. So it will be a summer full of pit meals, and yeah, I don't mind it. I enjoy the pit. So that is true. Okay, another logistical question. Do students need to bring anything specific to campus to be prepared for this institute?
So we approach most of our situations as sort of summer classroom attire. This means, shorts and a t-shirt is more than sufficient if that's what you want to wear. We don't ask students to dress up on a daily basis. We recognize this is the summer. You should dress comfortably. It's probably going to be a little bit warm on occasion in the summer, and we want you to be able to move through buildings comfortably. I would encourage everyone to bring a hoodie or a sweatshirt because sometimes the buildings themselves or the classrooms can be a little bit colder than the outside. And so some students appreciate the opportunity to have long sleeve layer they can put on top. But it really, the only day that you would consider is on Friday for our debate days. We typically ask students to dress up a little bit. So business casual, maybe a skirt and a blouse or some slacks and a button down, whatever your comfort level is. You do not need to wear a three-piece suit or your Sunday dress. You can if you want. And if you want to dress up, by all means, go for it. But typically, it's just a little bit of a step up than what you would wear on a daily basis so that when you go on video, it really feels like you're performing in that moment and you're on stage. But there's no other real supplies needed. We do encourage students to make sure that they have a laptop if at all possible, and then some pens so that when we go to take notes, but we'll even provide the paper. And for those of you who like to take, we'll have a few times where we take a few amount of notes. And for those students who really like to kind of record things or think things on writing, I would encourage a notebook. But if you're more of a computer note taker or a computer thinker, then that's more than sufficient as well.
Yeah, perfect. You covered it all. All right. Our next question, we've touched on this and talked about this a little bit. But how do you think students' experiences in the Debate and Public Advocacy Institute will connect with potential future careers? And what skills or insights do you think a student would walk away with?
Well, let me give you one very specific example from 2 years ago. There was someone who came through our Debate and Public Advocacy Institute, went back and found that the district's dress code was one that they did not like. So they went to their local kind of school board and they said, I want to put this on the agenda. And they gave a speech, and one that they had started to work on literally at our summer work or at our institute. Gave a speech, and the school board was so impressed, they said, you know what, let's form a working group to figure out how we can change this. So this student, 7 months later, had literally led the effort to change the school dress code so that it was not discriminatory on the basis of sex between two sexes. So it was something they were passionate in. They thought about the advocacy skills, and they went on to do that. I've been doing this institute for a while, so I do know that that's one very specific example of someone still in high school using those skills to literally change policy from the school they go into, but not only their school, every school in their district. So it was quite an accomplishment. We've had students go on to law school. We've had students go into nonprofit work. We've had students go into business, medicine, and even in academia and move into higher education. So the beauty of debate and public advocacy is you have to be able to advocate for what you want no matter where you go. So learning some of the basics of argument really does set you up, especially for those students who are not really quite sure about what they want to do 5-10 years from now. This is a good opportunity to have skills to allow you to get what you want, no matter what field you choose to go into.
Perfect. Yes. Okay, moving on. We already kind of talked about who students will be interacting with throughout the week. But you talked about maybe a few individuals in the law profession and a few public policy advocates. Can you talk us through a little bit more about what that looks like for students, if they're able to meet these individuals or how they're engaging with our guest presenters?
That's great. Great question. So we have preliminary confirmation from Judge Robinson, who it's actually really cool. There's a courtroom that is actually on the Wake Forest campus. And so we will go and we will talk with the judge and the paralegals and the other assistants and just sort of say, like, what is it that you do? How does this work? What are some skills you needed? What are some elements that you did? And it literally is a 45-minute question and answer with a bunch of folks, both who are at the highest level, literally the judge that's been there for a while, as well as people just entering the legal field. And a lot of students who are even contemplating law have really found that to be a great opportunity just to figure out what it's like to do legal argument, to do legal reasoning, to engage in legal speaking. And before that, we do a little bit of a run through on what it would mean to be in an appellate court and to engage in that form of argument. And we ask students to literally engage in a simulation where they come up, they say, may I approach the bench? And then they make some arguments in favor or against the plaintiff or the defendant. So that's one. We hope to have Miss Nikita McDaniel, who we think is who has been a long-time community organizer. She was someone who worked directly at poverty alleviation here in Winston-Salem for a number of years and is now one of the national campaigns organizers for Everytown for Gun Safety, doing gun violence prevention work. She literally goes out and tries to mobilize and organize people. So for people interested in nonprofit work or community organizing or any element of sort of reaching out and kind of finding your own power, Ms. McDaniel is also a specialty in a topic called finding your own voice. She's a very powerful public speaker. And so usually what she does is she'll offer about 5-10 minutes of comments, but then students will have questions that they will ask back and forth with her and engage in that dialogue. And then one of the really cool things about her is she gives her email and phone number and says, if you have questions, ask me. And in fact, the student that was making the pitch before their school board, literally, Miss McDaniel said, I'm willing to talk with you to make sure that I remember you from the summer workshop. Thank you for reaching out. So we have guest presenters that are not only there, but Ms. McDaniel in particular is welcome and really interested in kind of working with students in that way. And then we have a third guest presenter who we think is going to be potentially John Vermitsky. He's argued in front of the North Carolina Supreme Court successfully a number of times. He's a very, very funny, charismatic speaker. He was a former collegiate and high school debater. And so he has some of the debate skills, really can talk about what that means in that context as well. So those three kind of opportunities for guest presenters are great in terms of giving students just someone to hear from besides me, but then also offering an expert perspective. They're all interested in wanting to allow time for students to ask questions so that it's not just a lecture like, hey, we got a really smart person, now just sit and listen. It's like, no, we build in to make sure students can offer the questions and get the comments that they really want, not just that the speakers want them to hear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I feel like across the board, whether it's debate or something else, all of our institutes, we have quite a few of really special guest presenters or individuals and leaders who are willing to give their time to the summer immersion program and the students, and they're just excited about high school students being excited about learning or about their pathway. And so one thing that is not unique to this institute, but we do have all of our students write handwritten thank you notes at the end of the week. So whether you're in debate and writing a thank you note to Judge Robinson or Nikita McDaniel or in the Business Institute, we do try to kind of coach students about some professional competencies as well, like writing a thank you note when someone gives you their time. But we hope that that also lends itself to students starting to feel more comfortable networking and kind of engaging with people who are a little bit higher up than them so they feel comfortable developing those professional mentorships. So yeah, thanks for sharing all of that, Justin. So I am going to segue us once again into a part of the fireside chat that I really enjoy because I learn things about academic leaders that I don't know. So the next question is, what is a fun fact that would totally surprise the students that you work with? Or if you could share like a quirky hobby or a fun fact about yourself.
So fun fact, I was a state champion jazz bass player. But the trick was my guitar was never plugged in. I was literally the person who was rocking out like Guitar Hero, but the keyboardist was the one who was playing my bass notes. So I was able to say I got a state champion medal, even though my instrument had no volume. So that was a fun fact and something quirky. I've also
I have follow-up questions about that, but I'll save them for off air.
um,
What's your second one?
The second one is my family's from South Louisiana, so I've held an alligator many times, literally live in my arms.
Wow. Another fun fact that I did not know about you, Justin, after working with you for quite a few years. Thank you for sharing those. All right, now we're going to head into the rapid fire questions of this segment. So this is also a fun one. So I'm going to, ask you a category and you just come up with the thing that you think of first. So what is your favorite book?
Ooh, probably a fiction piece from a couple decades ago called The Power of One.
Oh my gosh, my mom just told me to read that last night on the phone. That is so crazy. I just added that to my list. Um, Favorite movie or TV show?
Well, I don't know that I have a favorite, but yesterday on the airplane coming back from the University of Texas tournament, I watched The Badlands, which was like the perfect plane movie. It was like quirky, kind of funny, a little bit almost comic strip-esque, you know. I don't know, maybe like Dick Tracy meets you know, I don't know, some desert post-apocalypse movie. So it was fun and quirky and kind of silly. Didn't make me think too hard, which was perfect for the plane ride.
Yeah, how can we watch Badlands? Where is it?
Uh, I think it was on. I don't know. It was I was on
Go
American
look it up
Airlines. So yeah.
if you're interested in this show. What's your favorite food? Or no, what are you currently listening to? Either music, podcasts?
So, I don't know if I can point it out, but I have a collection of my late father-in-law's albums, and he was a radio DJ for 30 years. And so my favorite thing to listen to while doing work is dub reggae instrumental. And I'm a big, if I am going to listen to classical, it would be Rachmaninoff. And then I'm a product of 1990s grunge. So give me Nirvana or Blind Melon anytime.
Awesome. I love that. But that's another fun fact about your father-in-law.
I've
That's
got
awesome.
approximately 3,000 records in my office right now. So yeah, a lot of them.
Cool. Okay, favorite food.
Favorite food, crawfish etouffee,
Mm,
made by my mom. I won't eat Cajun food at a restaurant.
that sounds delicious. Do you all have any pets at your house?
So we have an 8-year-old goldfish that literally has lived in a fishbowl that entire time. And we have gone out of town for as much as 2 weeks at a time. And the fish has survived without house sitters or pet sitters. We think that, if this fish was ever released in the wild, it would probably eat everything in sight and still survive. But yeah, we have a super goldfish, but no other pets.
Wow. Wow. What is your goldfish's name?
LJJ, my son was in second grade at the time, and that stands for Levi Jordan Jr. So I don't know. His name is
Love it.
Levi. His friend's name is Jordan. And so they called it Levi Jordan Jr., even though his friend never got the fish.
That's that's great. Okay, two more rapid fire. Favorite hobby?
Favorite hobby, playing basketball. And that's in fact where I was before we started talking.
Yes, and I knew that about you. So Justin plays basketball with a whole bunch of Wake Forest faculty, staff, all kinds of people that come together to play basketball at Wake. Okay, last one. Favorite place you've ever traveled?
Ooh. For my honeymoon, I went to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and we were on an extremely small island for 7 days, and that was pretty amazing. Um, and my mother-in-law lives in the wine country of Germany, and so we get to visit her once every other year, and that's really gorgeous as well.
Those are great answers. Well, thank you for sharing all of that, Justin, about yourself. I learned a lot of new things, so that was fun for me. We're going to wind down the fireside chat. So, the next question about debate and public advocacy. If you could describe this institute in just 3 words, what would they be?
Active, uh, thoughtful, and fun.
Yeah, I agree. Great words for this institute. Finish this sentence. You should experience the Debate and Public Advocacy Institute if you're someone who blank.
Wants to get what you want. You got to be able to convince someone, and there's probably no other skill than the ability to advocate and argue than doing that. So no matter what you aim to, however you define success, the ability to convince someone else is probably going to be part of that equation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great answer. So that really is everyone and anyone should do this institute.
Can I add one more thought there, which is
Yeah.
that like there are very few times where students of high school age get to talk uninterrupted and an adult and others have to listen. So sometimes students really find it just nice to be able to say, I get to speak my piece no matter what somebody else thinks about it. And I just get to do it. And that's an opportunity that a lot of students don't get in any other situation.
I agree. And I will also add, not only that, but it is kind of a pressure-free zone in the way that we think about grades and assignments and things like that. This is just an opportunity to kind of start to flex that muscle that we all have, that we have to build and develop, and there's no pressure associated with it. You're with people that you probably will never, well, hopefully you will see them again, but lots of new faces and new people in a really supportive environment. So it's a really great opportunity. um what is your favorite thing about working with high school students in the Debate and Public Advocacy Institute?
I think that I learn something every year because some students, everybody walks in with their own set of knowledge, with their own passions, with something they really want to talk about. And it amazes me after, quite frankly, being in debate for too many years to count and listening to so many public speeches that every year I hear somebody who has a passion or an interest, then I end up walking away with something new. And a lot of times they provide vibrancy in life to me. So it's like nice to see someone who really enjoys the action of speaking and then getting better by the end of the week, and then also sharing knowledge that, quite frankly, I, even at this level, don't quite know yet.
Yeah, me too. I would definitely say this is a unique and special institute in that students really get to share a piece of themselves. So you really have the opportunity to get to know these students, and students really have the opportunity to build very authentic relationships with one another that can form pretty deep friendships, we found. So I think that's something that's pretty cool about this institute too, that you made me think of that. All right, last question, Justin. Why Wake?
So Wake Forest is a phenomenal environment. We're in a gated campus, we're in a gorgeous facility. The dormitories are really unmatched. I've been to a number of college campuses. The food is unmatched. But there's also another element we haven't talked about, which is that the ambassadors of the program are really good. So you have intense fun instruction throughout the day, but in the evening, there are social plans and done with the ambassadors, and they're really engaging and thoughtful Wake Forest students. And so they know what you've done during the day. They can kind of take the temperature and be like, all right, we need to do some fun running around because that was important. Or it looks like we really drained everyone's thought today. Let's make sure we're watching a movie all together. So I think the experience that students get here at Wake Forest, great safe campus, quality instruction during the day where they get to be engaged, fun activities at night, and good food along the way. It's really hard to find a summer program that's going to check all of those boxes in the same way. And so that's why I feel passionately like the summer immersion program really is one that I can endorse and really proud to be part of each summer.
Yeah, and we are proud to be a part of it as well, and proud that you have stuck with us and have served as academic leader for this institute from its very inception. So thanks so much, Justin, for speaking with us today. Hopefully this was helpful for everyone who was interested in learning more about the Debate and Public Advocacy Institute. And if you do have any questions, always Feel free to reach out to us at summerimmersion@wfu.edu. Thanks, everyone. Bye.